What's up, everybody? This is Brian Funk, aka AfroDJMac, and you are listening to the Music Production Podcast. I'm really excited today because I'm going to be talking to you about my brand new EP. It's called The Country Punkin, and it's a collection of 4 songs. They're really short, to the point songs. The whole thing is under 6 minutes long. But part of that is, to the philosophy of this EP that I was working on. So I want to talk to you about like the creation of it, the philosophy behind it, the gear, the technique, and the process. Some of the songs, I'll play you all the songs. I mean, it's only going to take less than 6 minutes to listen to the whole thing. I'll talk about how they came about, and maybe some of that will serve as a bit of inspiration to you. It definitely does for me, and there's nothing like finishing something that makes you feel excited to do the next thing, and that's kind of the place I'm at right now, and hopefully this podcast will sort of capture some of that excitement. So, 4 tracks on this EP called Country Punkin. Now, it's called Country Punkin because, I wanted to create a set of songs that were sort of like punk rock and a little bit of country music. And the country music aspect is really more, I think, in the lyrics, and the punk is a little more in the music. So I thought it was really helpful to just set that aside in the very beginning, like, okay, this is the type of record it's going to be. These are the inspirations, because that really focused my attention and eliminated a ton of different decisions that would normally come up in the creation process. So if you can like kind of have something set, a plan, a target to shoot at, right away I had decisions I didn't even have to make, where normally there would be a lot of things to think about. So for instance, like on this record, by deciding on that particular theme, I knew that my instrumentation was going to be really simple. It was going to be bass, drums, electric guitar, and voice. And that cut out all these like thoughts about like, will I add synths? Will I add this? Will I add that? Percussion. That was all out the window. I didn't have to worry about it, which was kind of fun. So setting that goal, setting that target was really helpful for me. And it also kind of inspired like the feeling and the attitude of the songs. They're pretty like, I think it's like a high energy, super like in your face type of thing. And that was something else I wanted to capture too. So, the other decision that kind of came about that real nice and easy was that I decided to record the entire thing on the Teenage Engineering OP1. The OP1, if you're familiar with it, is this little, it looks like a toy, but it's not. It's a super powerful music tool. A professional tool, I think. And it has in it a 4-track recorder. So it's made to really emulate an actual tape recorder. So it actually has a visual of a tape. And you get 4 tracks. And even like, you have to rewind, you have to fast forward. When you press stop, you get this kind of like tape drop effect, which I think I put on the end of every single track on this song, on this EP. And I just plugged a microphone right into it. I used a Shure SM57, kind of your, bare bones, ubiquitous mic, really great mic. Simple, great for a lot of jobs. I use it on snare drums and guitar amps, sometimes even vocals. And for this EP, I used it for everything. And it was great. I just plugged it right into the input of the OP1. And now the OP1 is battery operated, so what I had going on here is I was carrying my OP1, I had a set of headphones plugged in, and I had my mic, and it was so easy to walk around the room and just move things around and mic things up, and that kept the energy and the spirit alive of my recording sessions, so I could just kind of jump from one instrument to the next without losing much steam. There was no like complicated setup and miking and testing things out. It was really just kind of like plug in and go. And I felt again, that kind of went along with the sort of feel and attitude of what I was going for in this little EP. Now, because I used the OP1 and just that one mic, the overall quality is pretty lo-fi. And that's kind of what I wanted, though. I wanted it to be raw and kind of like bloody sounding, like an open wound just powerful, not polished at all, just gritty to the point. That's something I'll get to in a second, to the point. And the OP1, it has its own characteristic sound. And one thing I love about it when you plug a mic into it is it's really easy to overdrive it. So it's really easy to get a lot of great gain and distortion. And I did that on pretty much every track where I kind of pushed it a lot, especially the vocals. Vocals come out really gritty and almost distorted. Sort of the drums too. They're really the microphone gain was pretty hot, and it just gives this nice crunch sound to it. And for me, just right away, hearing that was inspiring and made me want to keep going. So OP1 was a huge role in this. It was central. It was the studio for this recording. I did ultimately bring everything into Ableton Live to adjust levels and do kind of a crude mastering job. But the OP1 is really the power behind it. Now, I didn't even do the individual tracks in Ableton Live. I actually mixed them all right on the OP1 and took the output of the OP1 and recorded that into Ableton Live. So, I could have certainly, and you'll hear this, I'm going to play some of the individual tracks. I certainly could have cleaned these tracks up and made them a little bit neater and probably came out with a cleaner recording. But I wanted to get it done. I wanted to move forward. I wanted to have that feeling that came across, listening in headphones on the OP1. It was just so powerful and exciting to me that I wanted that to come across. So maybe I'll just let you hear a little bit of just how this stuff comes out. I've got the individual tracks. I'll let you hear some drums right now. You heard some guitar before in the opening. This is a drum track here. And what I did, I started with the drums, actually. I just put a microphone right probably about 3 feet away from the kick and snare. So it was kind of aimed at the kick and the snare. It was about 1 foot off the floor to capture the drums mostly, not as much of the cymbals and the hi-hats. But you can hear that stuff does come through a bit. And I really like this way if I'm going to use one microphone to just kind of put a mic about 1 foot off the ground and 3 feet or so away from the drums, pointed kind of in the middle of the kick and the snare, a little bit off to the side. And I think it just captures both elements nicely. So, pretty simple drum beat, tried to keep it straightforward. This was more about songs and not about, drum skills, which I'm pretty limited at anyway. And I set up the metronome and recorded this beat. And actually, that's as long as that first song is. So I'm still talking about making it, and it's already done. So the drums were done just by putting that mic in, setting up the metronome and playing. And for some of the songs, I really didn't know where I was going with it. I didn't even have the songs written. There were a couple I wrote. I think 2 of them I wrote, and then 2 of them I just kind of played drums and decided I was going to play this part for this long, that part for this long, switch back to the other part and whatever. And what was kind of fun about that was that I had these drum beats. And again, I like to talk a lot about eliminating decisions in the production process. Now I had a beat, and then I was going to add guitar, and I was like, look, it has to fit this drum beat. So it made my kind of, my number of choices so much smaller. So I had to fit in guitar parts and verses and choruses that fit within the drum beats I played. And, there was a little bit of, sometimes I was coming up with an idea as I was, improvising over the drums, and I realized I can't do that because of what I played, and I had to switch. And I think this ultimately guided me in a great direction because it helped me just get songs done, helped me just fit pieces, make decisions, and move forward. So there were even times I was kind of writing the guitar part and singing at the same time. And there were other times I just wrote the guitar parts and then just figured out the vocals later. So the drums, I think, were fun to record. It was simple. It's not high fidelity. I'll let you hear the drums on the other track. They're a little bit more aggressive, I think, on this track. You can kind of hear the compression more that the OP1 kind of brings in. And this track, if you were to look at the waveform, is a little bit more like a solid brick of rectangle than the other one. It's still got its dynamics, but it's a little more consistent in volume than the other one was. And, just bashing away at the crash cymbal, just knowing that I wanted to have a really aggressive, in-your-face song here. And, I like that lo-fi sound, so the OP1 was really good to me for that. And just one mic was simple and easy. And once I finished the drums, just went on to the next thing. And in most cases, that was the guitar. So I've got a little guitar here you can hear, electric guitar. This is a, I'll turn this one up just a tiny bit. A little bit quieter. You can hear my drums in the background bleeding through my headphones. This is my Fender Mustang guitar going through my Fender Deluxe amplifier. It's a tube amp. And, for this part, I'm just hitting the stomp box to change the channel to the distorted channel. But I'm not really using a ton of distortion, just trying to get a little bit of crunch. I just wanted to rely on the aggressiveness of the performances in the song than, just crazy distortion. You can hear there's a little bit of reverb on the amp just to help those kind of surfy bends that happen in the guitar. So there's one guitar. This is another guitar on another track. I can turn this one up a tad too so you can hear it a little better. I'm a big fan of those kind of whammy bar bends on the sustained chords. You'll hear it coming up right about here. So I think this song was just one channel on the amp the whole time. And then usually the next thing that came up was the bass. And the bass was great. I think I recorded the bass right through the same amp too. I didn't even move the microphone, just plugged the bass in. And I do kind of like the quality I get out of the bass guitar through my Fender Deluxe amp. It's a pretty cool sound. It's got low end still, but it picks up a nice high end. And I think on some of the tracks I actually use the reverb a little bit on the bass, just a touch. I don't know if this is one where this is a different track. Yeah, you can hear there's a little bit of reverb on that one. And that's definitely from the Fender Deluxe amplifier. And I'm sure you're noticing these recordings are not, sparkling clean. They're kind of dirty and aggressive. And that's what I wanted. So after that, one of the cool things about the OP1, it's got 4 tracks, and it works much like a tape recorder actually would in the real world. But there is a slight difference. When you record a track, and you say I've got my drums on one track or my guitar on one track, you can record on that track again, and instead of erasing what was already there, it overdubs it. So I used that a lot for the vocals because I wanted to have the vocals double and sometimes do harmonies and sometimes gang vocal almost style. So when I recorded the vocals, I used that a lot. I would kind of just punch in real quick with my voice and sometimes double or triple what I was singing or harmonize it myself. I'll let you hear a little bit of that. These, I think, are a little bit louder looking at the waveform here, so I'm going to turn that down a tad.
Before you turn your back again, remember to settle the score. I'm sure nobody ever did anything you did more.
It's a little double and harmony going on there.
I need a reminder.
So a bit of like the gang thing going there. I'll let you hear a little bit of the other part, the other song too.
I've been working all day in the sun.
So this is doubled.
My boss is a jerk and this job is no fun. No matter how I try.
So it just helps bring out the energy of the song a little.
You're coming over here acting tough.
All right, let's stop that. So we've got the vocals there. And again, that was just the same mic, just running into it. And I definitely paid some attention to the input level, where I cranked it up so that I could get that like really fun distortion that the OP1 gets. And that's kind of the recording process, and it was really to the point. I didn't spend a lot of time on these tracks. It was just kind of boom, let's see what happens, let's see what comes out. The last song you heard was actually more written, so that one was planned out a little more than the first one, which was a little more improvised. And there are two other ones, which I'm going to play them all for you, like I said. But I want to just say a few things about the philosophy of this record. And I think this is a good thing to think about when you're making some songs, and even anything, I guess, have some sort of plan. And my plan was I wanted these to be the most to-the-point, stripped-down, no-nonsense songs possible. I already mentioned I wanted to be a little bit punk rock, a little bit country. But the actual arrangements, no nonsense was my plan, nothing. I didn't want to have any intros. There's no instrumentals at all on this. There's no outros. There's no solos. There's no little interludes. What I wanted to do was take the most basic parts of the song and create them and see if I can make something interesting. So everything you will hear on this EP starts right away. So as soon as the band starts, the vocals start, and then we're in the song. We're in the verse usually. We're going. There's no fluff, and there's no like bridges to connect things. It's just move on, move on, move on. And it fit the kind of fast-paced, driven, aggressive energy I was going for, because everything is just, let's do it now. Here we go. We're jumping right in. So now that doesn't, that's just the philosophy I want at this. I mean, you might have a philosophy where you want the thing to kind of develop and evolve, and this song is going to kind of take a while to open up and come together, and that's cool too, it doesn't matter. But having that plan is definitely hugely important, because it lets you just, have a direction. And I think that's something that's so easy to lose sight of when we're home studio recording, bedroom studio stuff, because you don't need it. You're not really pressed for time. There's nothing like hanging over your head. If you've ever gone and paid for studio time, that's much different. You got to have everything planned, know every part you're going to do, because it's costing you money by the minute, literally. So if you're going to sit around and just, not know what you're going to do, it's going to cost you a ton of money. So you usually go in there with a plan. And that was something I wanted to bring to this recording, was just this idea, like, I'm going for this thing. There's no fluff. There's no nonsense. This is going to start right away. These verses are going to start right away. I kind of had a little bit of an idea to try to keep things around a minute and a half or so. So everything on this record winds up about that long, give or take, maybe 15 or 20 seconds. But that was the general philosophy. So now I think what I'll do is play the songs, talk about them a little bit. The first song is called Tell Me About It. And Tell Me About It is kind of this idea. The lyric is about, like, I'm sure you know these kinds of people that are always reminding you of their contributions to things, or their, what they've done, and trying to claim credit for things, and they will always remind you. And this is kind of like a sarcastic, like, tell me about it, like, oh, I need a reminder. I think I have a little fun with it. There's a point in the middle where these like silly voices, tell me about it. And they're kind of like, oh yeah, this is really what we want to hear, is you sing about how great and glory you are. So this track is kind of that, just like, oh man, enough kind of thing. But I'm sure you can relate to this. There's people like that everywhere. And sometimes we are those people. Maybe I'm being one of those people right now. But it's about, like, being manipulated and playing tricks in politics. Attacking from behind is one of the lyric. I'll let you hear it right now. So here we go. This is called Tell Me About It.
Before you turn your back again, remember to settle the score. I'm sure nobody ever did anything you did more. starting back in the beginning of time. Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it again. I don't wanna forget. Tell me about it again. I need a reminder now. Tell me about it again. I seem to forget. Someone tell me all about it. I need a reminder.
Okay, let's tell me about it. It comes in about a minute and 15 seconds, to the point. And really, like, the chorus kind of only happens once, maybe I guess like 1.5 times. My hope is that, the little choruses and stuff are catchy enough that you remember them, but you don't get to hear them many times, so maybe you want to listen to it again. I mean, I'm biased because I'm listening to this stuff as the creator and also to see if it actually sounds okay. But I've found myself with this 4-song collection on repeat a lot and enjoying it. And I don't know how to gauge my enjoyment of something I've created, because sometimes, I hate the things I create and it makes me cringe, and sometimes I love it, and maybe I don't know. But it worked for me anyway, so... I've talked about this before on the show, but if it works for me, maybe it works for somebody else. I think it's a good way to think about things. So that's Tell Me About It. Hope you liked it. And the next song on the EP is called Whose Side Are You On? And this one I wrote around the time of the election, where, the election was just such a whirlwind, and everyone was so divided. It was upsetting just to see that. And I don't know, maybe that's still reverberating through our culture, but really heated, more than I remember the other elections I've been aware of in my life. But this whole thing, like, you got to pick sides, is really frustrating to me, because I don't think it's that simple that, there's this one party or this one person that, you just kind of blindly follow into the fire and destruction. I don't like that. I don't like this like whole choosing teams thing that we have in our whole system. I think it blinds people, If you think the way people like root for their favorite football or baseball team, they just, no matter what, they blindly root for them. And if there's a close call at home plate, they will always feel like their team was the, won that call, whatever it is. They were safe or they were out. They always, no matter what, even if you watch the replay and it's kind of clear, a lot of times people just be like, no, he was safe. He made it. And I feel like that's what's become of our politics. So this is what this song's about. Whose side are you on, is the question. And it winds up with the chorus, I don't want to vote for any more of these liars. And just, it's being angry about politics, I guess, but kind of in a fun way. One thing I really like about this song musically is I've got this like unison guitar and bass, where the bass line and the guitar are playing the same thing throughout. It's this kind of like walking thing, moving chromatic notes. And it gives it like a lot of nice rhythm. There's another guitar. This is one of the few songs that actually has 2 guitar tracks. There's another guitar that kind of like plucks the little chords that like I guess it's like with the snare. I'll have to listen to double check that, but kind of just gives this nice bouncy feeling to the verse, which I like a lot. And rather than like focusing on like power chords, this song kind of does like little riffs on the guitar, which I thought was cool. And there's kind of like 2 sets of vocals. There's the kind of main voice, the main like singer, lead person, but then there's also these like background like falsettos. They're like, asking you the question, whose side are you on? And I think that's just kind of fun. Like, there's this conversation going on. So here we are. This is like there's like 2 songs I think of as being angry songs on this one. Like, the first one's sort of sarcastic. I guess there's anger to it too, but it's more like rolling your eyes anger. This is more like aggressive, like fed up anger. So this is called Whose Side Are You On?
We got it made in the shade, man. We were born in a promised land. A politician taking all he can on the shoulder of Uncle Sam. Whose side are you on? I don't wanna vote for any more of these liars. You can talk about promises, but we all know how it ends. I've been up and down and all around. Underneath that suit there stands a clown. Side are you on? Tell me. I don't wanna vote for any more of these liars. They got their hands in our pockets as they laugh it right in our face. I don't wanna vote for any more of these liars. Let's stop it right now and start ourselves a new race. I don't wanna vote. I don't wanna vote for you. No, I don't wanna vote for you either. I think we should start ourselves a whole new race.
Okay, whose side are you on? There it is. It's a funny song to me, but captures a feeling and this idea just like of not wanting to vote, but not because you don't want to participate, because it's just like, damn it, like there's no one I like. And it kind of at the end there, I think we should start ourselves a whole new race. I thought of that as sort of like a play on words with the the race for the presidency, but also like just like the human race is kind of fucked in some ways sometimes, so we need a whole new human race. But let's see, that one, I think, like I said, I really have fun with the vocals, with the two different types of vocals, the like kind of question and then the answer, and the energy of that one. So let's move on to the next one. This one also has like kind of like a fun like back and forth vocals, if you ask me. This one is called Why Did You Have to Go? And it's basically a song about being left by a loved one when someone leaves you, and with sometimes you don't get an explanation, you don't know why. Sometimes they pack up and they leave and they're gone and you're just like, what? What happened? And this kind of like addresses that, and it sets the scene a little bit, like it explains like a situation, and it's that question, why did you have to go? And it has this kind of nice back and forth call and response vocals, I think, in the chorus that was kind of enjoyable. And let's give it a listen.
I opened my eyes and prayed it was a dream, and you would be laying there next to me. I can't believe you laughed. Oh baby, why did you have to go? Why did you have to go? Baby, why did you have to go? Why did you have to go? You're out the door without a trace. You already packed up your stuff and found a new place. But before you're gone, I still don't wanna know, why did you have to go, baby? Why did you have to go? Why did you have to go, baby? Why did you have to go? Why did you have to go, baby? Why did you have to go? Why did you have to go, baby?
and you can hear those little tape stops on the OP1 at the end of the track. Bzoo! Such a fun feature. When you hit stop on the OP1, it does that. Yeah, so that's Why Did You Have to Go? That one I had a lot of fun making. Just once the chorus came, everything came together. You know, that like phrase, why did you have to go? Once I got that, then it was like, okay, now I'll tell the story of like how you would end up in this situation of where you'd be asking that question, why did you have to go? Then it sets the scene, you know, I opened my eyes and prayed it was a dream that you would be laying there next to me. And just that whole feeling of like, man, I wish this never happened. I wish we could go back to the way things were. And it's about being blindsided by somebody leaving you. Not a great feeling, but kind of like in a happy song version, I guess. So that brings us to the last song here. And I think this is my favorite one. At least at this moment it is. It's called Wrong Guy. And this is another like PO'd song. This song, I think probably out of all of them captures the idea of like the punk rock with the country. And maybe just because like the lyric with the country, like it feels like every country song mentions like whiskey or something. So I get a little mention of whiskey in here, brand names. So I think that's like a country music kind of thing to do. But just kind of like being sick of your job, sick of like everything. This song is like that feeling when like today is not the day to be messing with me, you know. You picked the wrong guy to mess with today. So I had fun with that concept, this idea that like tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. And so it starts out by kind of in the verses talking about the different things, the different ways you've been wronged in your life, the problems you're going through. And it kind of leads up to the like idea that like, this is why you don't want to mess with me, because I've got all this pent up anger and aggression. And if you're going to be the person that wants to be the brunt of that, then I'm willing to, punch your lights out or something. So it starts out talking about the job, you know. The lyric is, I've been working all day in the sun. My boss is a jerk and this job is no fun. No matter how I try, it's never enough. And then you're coming over here acting tough. So it sets you up, you know, like I've been working this hard day and my job sucks. I hate my boss. Tired. And now you're going to come here and give me a hard time. The second verse is my dog left me for the cat. My best friend turned out to be a dirty rat. And again, just like more things on the plate that have just made your day miserable and that you're the wrong guy. The chorus cracked me up when I came up with it because it's, again, this country idea. It starts out, my wife left me and my girlfriend's cheating. So this idea that like, you're upset because your wife left you and your girlfriend's cheating, but it's kind of this also like, when you're in this like pissed off, you're messing with the wrong guy mood, you kind of sometimes miss the obvious like, way that you're also kind of a jerk too. So like you're mad that your wife left you and you're mad that your girlfriend's cheating, but why do you have a girlfriend if you have a wife? So had fun with that. It says I got Diet Pepsi but I want whiskey. So there's another like kind of country thing, country music lyric along with the wife and girlfriend, if you ask me. This idea like, you got wimpy Diet Pepsi but you want a whiskey. You have the nerve to say I don't have the right. Tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. And those are the lyrics. And it's meant to be like kind of psychotic sounding, honestly. So there's kind of sometimes the lyric gives way to screaming and wild emotion more than the melody. And I sort of had fun with that. And there was a lot of like gang vocal stuff that I was talking about before, where just layering in the vocals like to get some of those screams to be a little more aggressive and full and a little more chaotic and wild. So again, this song, you'll hear that like kind of fun like bend on the electric guitar that I love to do with the vibrato whammy bar on the Fender Mustang. I'll have to do like a video about how you can use that, but it's nice. You don't even need the whammy bar. You just kind of push the the vibrato, tremolo, whatever you call it, the bridge. You push it a little bit to get the pitch bend. And I made use of that quite a bit. And here it is, Wrong Guy, the last song.
I've been working all day in the sun. My boss is a jerk and this job is no fun. No matter how I try, it's never enough. And you're coming over here acting tough. Oh no, where my life's messy and my girlfriend's cheating and I got time Pepsi and I want whiskey. You have to never say I don't have the right. Well, tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. My dog left me for the cat. And my best friend, he turned out to be a dirty rat. No matter how I try, it's never enough. Yeah, you gotta believe it's gonna add up. When my wife's messy and my girlfriend's cheating, I got time Pepsi and I want whiskey. You have to never say I don't have the right. Well, tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. Tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. Yeah, you're pretty tough, I can't deny. Tonight you're messing with the wrong guy.
And there you have it, Wrong Guy. Tonight you're messing with the wrong guy. I like that. That's a fun one for me. It's fun to play and perform and sing, just to get that energy out. It's a fun thing to just like kind of scream and yell, "You're messing with the wrong guy." A much better way to deal with those feelings than actually, brawling with somebody. But there it is. That's the entire EP in under 6 minutes. 4 songs I'm pretty happy with. I'm digging them. I think they're fun, high energy, high octane things. I hope you enjoyed that. This is the kind of podcast I do want to do a lot more of, kind of dissecting songs, whether it's with a guest, with their song, or another person's song that I'm listening to, or just stuff I've created as well. I just think it's fun for me. It's a fun mental exercise to kind of go back and review what I've done and what I liked, what worked, what I could have done better, what I could have fixed, what I could have changed. But I've decided, in doing this, that I'm not going to go back and change. I'm just going to make that note and those mental notes for the next time and make it better next time. I think sometimes it's better to put things out and call it finished than it is to just keep working on it, keep trying to do it, keep fixing, because you can fix forever. There's never a perfect thing anyway, so you're going to do it forever. But I think if you stop, move on, and then take what you've learned in the past, put it forward, that's a better way to grow, because you're practicing all the stages of the compositional process, the writing, the producing, the recording, the mixing, the mastering, all that stuff. Even practicing putting out a song, what does it mean to put it out? And for me, I can tell you, I just signed up for a yearly subscription at DistroKid. DistroKid is a site that allows you to distribute your music through all the online platforms, your iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and whatever else is out there. DistroKid puts it out there for you. And I think it's $20 a year. You can put up as many songs as you want, which is awesome. And it keeps it up there for you for as long as you keep the subscription. That's something maybe worth pointing out. If you end your subscription, they will take down your songs. But they do have this thing called the legacy option where you pay a little extra. I think I had to pay like $50 for this, but they'll keep your songs on forever. So it says like, even if you die, your music will be there. And actually, the word legacy is something I've been thinking about a little bit lately. A couple of family members had passed away recently, and one of my uncles left behind so much poetry. It was amazing, and he published it all online. And doing a search online, there were just hundreds of poems, and he published some books, all self-published and that, but it's cool that, that was something he left behind, a legacy, and he's got stuff that people can go and listen or read, excuse me. But that's something I wanted to spend a little more energy, is like leaving behind like pieces of music. um, Hopefully lots of it. I'm not planning on checking out anytime soon, but to leave that legacy, and they have that option. So if you're not going to pay your $20 a year, then you can do that. But my plan is to release a ton of music. I mean, I've got some back catalog stuff I've never put on the streaming services, so I'm going to be doing that. And then, putting stuff out as it comes out. Just, what the hell? Just get it out there, because I know the way I listen to music a lot these days. Apple Music is the streaming service I use, but I guess it doesn't matter what you use. And a lot of it comes from there, and it just seemed like kind of crazy that I had nothing marked as AfroDJMac anyway on these services, but now I do. So you can go on any of those services and write in AfroDJMac, or I guess maybe Country Punkin, to get this EP, to listen to it. I hope you do. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it is fun for like a car ride, or hanging out with your friends. It's not long, so it won't cost you much of your time. But yeah, give it a listen, enjoy it, and thanks so much for listening to this podcast. Lots of cool stuff coming up on the podcast. I did some really cool interviews recently that I've got kind of back cataloged, and I've got plans and been talking to some really interesting people and to set up times to do conversations. So psyched about that. I mean, the amount of information I've been able to absorb talking to these people is just mind-blowing, and really makes this show so valuable for me. And I'm hoping, that you feel the same way too. And it seems like some of you do. I've gotten some great feedback, so I really do appreciate that. If you do enjoy it, you can always leave your reviews on iTunes and all that. I do appreciate as much as you can. Your feedback is super valuable to me. I've got some fun ways of doing podcasts too. Some things I haven't really done yet. More like kind of studio tips and techniques, like actual, maybe even less philosophy sometimes. I love the philosophy stuff, don't get me wrong, but I've got a few notes on like ideas of just like technical stuff you can do too that'll help you with your process. So we'll get to that also. So again, check out Country Punkin by AfroDJMac. It's my latest EP, 4-song country punk songs. No nonsense in your face stuff. I hope you enjoyed this talk about them, and that it inspires you to go out and make some music yourself. So thanks again for listening. This is Brian Funk, aka AfroDJMac. Take care.